Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Friday. Thank you so much for being here. Sorry for the delay. I thought I had everything timed perfectly to the minute, but just a lot going on, you guys. Christmas is so close. I'm not any more prepared today than I was on Monday, to be quite honest. um, we're traveling for the holidays, so we have a Christmas party to go to tonight, a Christmas party to go to tomorrow night, and then we'll be pulling out on at night on the 22nd. So busy, busy, busy. So let's see. Let me say hello to everyone. I know some people are probably still over at Nick's, and that's cool. I actually like that she went live to cover Ernie because it kind of leads into a lot of what we're talking about today. So it'll still be fresh in all of our minds. I was like taking notes as fast as I could. So, hello to Fluffy and Izzy and Trixie. Hello, Venomous Silverback. Mom of two. Hey, Jimbo. Fox Mulder, Libby Easter, Nana Kim, Blue on Black. Hello, good to see you. Renee, Curious Idea, Phoenix, Ram 5150. Hello, Catlin, Tracy F. Midnight Baker, Chaotic. Lily, my boo thing. Guest Mob Fam. Hello. Brandy B, Night Stalker, and Manchester Vicky. Lisa Bradley just snuck in. Hello. So today we are going to talk about the never ending side eye that I find myself walking around with constantly. We're going to talk about a few different situations with a few different people. Um, so where do we start? We will start. Okay, we're going to start from least to greatest on the side eye factor. So ATIL. Ugh. I really hate having to even talk about her at all, but just because she has some things going on, that's not a free pass to just be a jackass. It's like she crop dusts us with her shenanigans. Hello, Sister Callie. Um, so a few days ago, let's see, probably about a week ago, she did a live and she was like telling everyone the direction she wants her channel to go in, how she really wants to focus on like mental health and things you need to do to take care of yourself. I kind of got the impression that maybe she was going to tell a little bit about her own life because she's admitted to all of us that she has mental health issues. I believe at first she said she had anxiety, which is fine. Lots of people do. I have anxiety. Um, and then, it kind of progressed from there. And then most recently, she said she was given a diagnosis of like bipolar or something, which has always been like evident to me in watching her behaviors. So she had a night where she was just not doing well. And this is one thing I don't encourage her to do. Like, by all means, if you're feeling that low and you're having thoughts of self-harm or feeling worthless, definitely seek help. And if one of the mods could drop the hotline for like the mental health hotline, that would be awesome. I know, especially around this time of year, it's especially hard for a lot of people. It's the holidays. It is probably one of the, like, if you were to ask a panel of people which time of year is their favorite, as far as like family memories and things like that, a lot of people are going to say Christmas. It's my favorite time of year. I really enjoy that switch over into fall, and then I really enjoy Christmas. It was always a big deal in my house growing up. My mom went all out with the decorations. I mean, it was just a good time. She baked cookies for all my teachers and for the mailman. I mean, we just did a lot of fun things. And now that my mom is no longer here, I really miss those times. So a lot of people have a hard time around the holidays. A lot of people have lost loved ones. It seems like you always hear about someone passing away, like right around Thanksgiving and in between all the way up till Christmas. Hey, Kimber. Hey, Crimes. Anyone else who snuck in? Um, so when she mentioned that, she made mention of the fact that, she's going through this hard time and she doesn't have her mother anymore. I can totally relate to that. I miss my mom every single day. But then she goes on to tell people, just exactly how in distress she is. She talked about hurting herself. And I really think at this point that whoever is involved in her care, it's time to really pay attention to what she's doing online, because it's so hot and cold with her. One minute she's coming on here and she's accusing people of bank fraud and prank calls, you name it, everyone's done it to her. And then we don't hear anything for a couple of days, and then she's right back on here talking about how low she's feeling. ATIL, I told you a long time ago, the best thing you can do is just stop talking about all of this altogether. It's not going to get any easier for you, because you don't have the right, no matter what your mental capacity is. It does not give you the right to come on here and accuse people of all this slanderous, defamatory crap with nothing to back it up. And then when it comes to pass that that's probably not the case, you don't even have the cojones to come on here and apologize. In fact, last night you did an upload saying, I know people don't believe me, but my bank is doing an investigation. And guess what? That person had an iPhone. You mean to tell me that the fraud department at your bank has just taken a deep dive right into this investigation, down to the point of being able to tell the person had an iPhone? Girl, banks are insured for situations just like this. They will write it off as a loss. Just because somehow, somewhere along the lines, you ordered something online or you signed up for something and they sold your information to another company, somehow someone got your card number. That is another thing that is very typical for this time of year. There's a lot of theft going on. Most of the people who are committing these crimes are sitting overseas somewhere and don't speak a lick of English. But you're hell bent on saying that someone from YouTube, more specifically Nicolina, got into your account and took all your money. The bank would have already given you your money back by now if you told them no, it was not an approved transaction. And they'll probably tell you exactly like they told me when someone got my card number through Twitch. They charged over $200 in a matter of 30 minutes. And there was an 800 number that printed out on the bank's end. I called it and it was a non-working number. So there's lots of these little fake companies that set up and they harvest information and they get people for, $20, $30. They start small and they work up big. Quit making this bank thing into something it's not. All it's doing is adding to the already chaotic bullshit that goes on. And you're just doing it for attention. People are more apt to give you positive attention when you just be yourself. Just act right. Act like a normal person. Quit accusing everyone of doing all of this stuff to you, because obviously nobody on the side of the people you're trying to impress have taken notice to it. Where are those people coming to your rescue when you go live and talking about all this stuff? Not in your chat. You would never even know who is in your chat because you have everyone blocked. Yes, Nicolene has been accused of hacking phones, computers, banks. I mean, anything you need done on the down low, she's your girl. Well, hello, Squirrel Nutshell. Yes, she is nutty. Let's see. So that's really all I had to say about her. Is just chill the fuck out, Atil. Just chill the fuck out. It's getting ridiculous. Now, we're going to step it up a little bit and we're going to talk about the Kratom Queen herself, Miss Gypsy, because she's got some confusion going on too. And we're going to actually talk extensively about Kratom and the effects on using Kratom, like when you're on other medications for mental illness. It's not all it's cracked up to be. There are some very big warnings that people should really pay attention to. And I suggest that if anyone is going to use Kratom as a part of their everyday routine, make sure you do your research. I mean, I feel that way about anything. Before you start anything that's going to affect your body, research it. In fact, we're going to talk about some medical issues a little bit later on that if someone just would have researched it, there wouldn't have to be so much backpedaling and talking in circles right now. So Gypsy's been on this poll kick lately, right? If you go look at her community pages, it's just poll after poll. And they're stupid polls. One of her polls that, kind of caught my eye was the poll she did about summer. Now, that's one thing she's always bitching and complaining about is, why is Holly weird and messing around in a little girl's missing case? Gypsy, this is not the Summer Wells community. If you want to ask questions about what happened to her case, you need to go over there to the group who actually caused a little bit of this in her case. Go over there to the real Summer community and ask your questions. Your poll was so far off base, it was ridiculous. Do you even know anything about this case? Because I can tell you that I was sitting in AB's chat the day that this case broke. He was one of the first people that talked about it, along with Molly Golightly, Laura Perplexed, AB, and Tiffany Marie. They were all on a panel together. And then Molly Golightly had to end, and Tiffany and AB went on AB's channel and did their own live about it. It was immediately after the Amber Alert broke. So all of your options on your poll were wrong. Let me tell you how Summer's name got brought over here. And you might want to sit down and listen. Put your listening ears on. The way her case got pulled over here is because of Ernie. Remember way back when he claimed to be doing this big search for her case? That's how it seeped over here. Because he did that, then Benny Keys, who had already been reporting on Summer. Now, you might think that Benny started at the beginning of Summer's case. No, he was actually on a break from YouTube, and he didn't come in and start talking about her until about 3 weeks in. So, because Ernie did that search at the racetrack, it got people's attention. Benny then interviewed Ernie, and then slowly Ernie evolved into coming over here onto YouTube. All of this started on Facebook. So if you want to complain to anyone about why Summer's case is over here with a bunch of trolls, you can give him a big pat on the back because it was because of him. Now, you keep bringing up Liz Gaspari and BDAC. They're not even around anymore. Liz Gaspari does, in fact, sell nutritional products. She has a whole company. Because if you remember, Benny Keys got a bunch of her products and he was like in a pool on one of his videos talking about how great it was. Yeah. So quit trying to get free weight loss supplements by challenging someone. I know that you want to think that she's involved in all this kind of stuff because of her family history. I remember how gung ho you were about making sure I knew about that family history over in the Discord. It was a little pushy. It was one of the things that made me take a step back and wonder what the hell was wrong with you. But more importantly, you need to really understand how Summer's case got over here and kind of redirect. If you want to be all about Summer because you say that's the reason you came here and you don't want to be involved in all the bullshit anymore, right? You said that your channel wasn't going to be about sitting up there slinging shit all day. I beg to differ because you did it immediately following the next day, right after you made that statement. You were right back at it last night. You're trying to defend this horrendous ass statement you made. What did you say? You said that the processed chicken and the hormones is weakening our government and making everyone rainbow people. I really hope that you have never said anything like that to your daughter, or that she never hears you say anything like that. You should be ashamed of yourself. And you come across as a very judgmental and unsupportive mother. You admittedly have a trans child, and for whatever reason, it crossed your mind that that would be something appropriate to say. It says a lot about your character. It shows me that you are just a nasty person. You're a conceited bitch. You use people, you manipulate people, and you already know that you're going to be a bitch because you start trying to excuse it before you even really get going. Nobody cares how bitchy you were in high school. Nothing's changed. Maybe you think that that's an endearing quality, but it's not. It makes you look kind of ridiculous on our end. You sit in judgment of everyone day in, day out. Oh, but everyone talks about women being fat. Like, that was your excuse. That was your excuse to crap on your friends, is because you said that they're making fun of women's weight. You must be out of your damn mind. And your stupid applause soundboard, I hope an elf comes and steals it and just hauls that shit right out of there, right up the chimney and into the landfill. It's old, it's played out, and when you start using it to laugh at your own pathetic jokes, then you're just an even bigger clown. But we're going to talk about your kratom. We're going to talk about your up and down cycles and your vile, nasty behavior. We're going to talk about all of that in depth. But while it's still fresh in everyone's mind, because Nicolina so graciously streamed Ernie today. If you guys didn't get a chance to watch it, go back and watch it after this. Hey, Grubby Goat. Misty Rose L. Hey, Leslie. That's another thing, Gypsy. How are you going to call Leslie a crack whore and say that her makeup looks like she grabbed her little girl's makeup kit? Can we talk about the need that you have for a non-oil based foundation because it looks awful with your gigantic pores? I just wanted to touch on that. And blue eyeliner is no longer in style. I would say for your skin tone, you need to use more natural colors and lose the hot pink lipstick. So, yes, go back and watch Nicolina's live. She streamed Ernie. There's a possibility that Ernie deleted it. He did delete the one from last night. So, if you guys didn't catch that, if a mod could drop the link for Ghost Archive channel, it's on there. There's quite a bit of them on there. So, if you missed any of them, they are there. If you are not up to date on what's going on with Ernie, we're going to get caught up. So, about a week ago, he started getting sick again. He was silent for a few days. And he came on and let everyone know that he was in really bad shape. He was having trouble catching his breath and stuff in the hospital. And he was just very lethargic sounding. And the prognosis wasn't good. It was either the day after that or the following day, somewhere in the near area. Within a couple of days, he let us know that just at any time his life could be over. He was given a terminal diagnosis. It's an incurable disease, and he tried to pronounce hemophilia. So he couldn't pronounce it, but he explained it as being he just doesn't bleed. He got cut over 1,500 times, had his face rearranged, never bled. Well, Ernie gets pissed off when I really dig about stuff. But here's the way my brain works, Ernie. When someone tells me something, it's either going to be important enough for me to notice if it doesn't make sense, or it's just going to be something, it's just not a big thing. It is what it is. They tell me, I just nod and say, yeah, and move it along. Some things are pretty self-explanatory. I know I can take it at face value. Well, when you started describing your inability to bleed and you tried to pronounce hemophilia, that made me think, oh, he's not saying it right. It's hemophilia. I knew what hemophilia was, but because I don't want to look like an idiot, I made sure I went back and read up on it. Then I did that extensive dive on hemophilia, and we did that live on Monday. Well, Ernie's pissed that I did all that. He was challenge me in his comments, and he thinks that he's really got me because when I reply to him, I actually type out an answer. I don't just keep it yes or no. It's what he calls open-ended questions. And that's exactly what an open-ended question is. It doesn't require a yes or no answer. It requires more than that. Anybody learned what that was? It's not like he's catching me up in something, because I'm very aware of what I say to him and why I'm saying it. I'm not just falling for the big bad Ern. So today he had a doctor's appointment. Okay, now he is saying it was on Tuesday, I think, or maybe Monday night after my live. Then he started talking about how the doctors didn't know what they were doing. It's just trying to explain away the hemophilia part. He even told me in the comment thread, I was like, but Ernie, you said you have hemophilia, and what you're describing is the exact opposite of what hemophilia is. You would bleed out. All those times his mouth started bleeding, he would have been in big trouble. Jumping out of cars, wanting to fight people as much as he does. That's a big health hazard to a hemophiliac. So he said, I know. I don't know why they're telling me that, because it doesn't make sense. But the doctor told me that. My blood test said that's what I have. Okay. Then he has the 2 surgeries. I asked him point blank, what 2 surgeries did you have? because he did say he had a colonoscopy. And the reason I was concerned about what two surgeries he had is because the surgical site where they made the incision or the puncture or whatever they did, that the location of those are important. The reason they're important is because he had talked about just that day he soaked in a bathtub. Well, anyone who's ever had a C-section or any other kind of surgery that had stitches or staples, anything like that, you know that you're not supposed to submerge that in water until it's completely healed. Like when I had a C-section, I couldn't take a bath until after my staples were removed and everything. That would be especially important for someone with hemophilia, because should they submerge their surgical site in water too soon, and let's say something popped open, that could be bad if you just bleed and bleed and bleed and don't clot. So the last few days, he's been like calling out to me, wanting me to come up there, and said I can ask him any questions I want. And that's all fine and good. I'm open to asking him questions. There's a reason, Ernie, that I don't go on your panel or any of your little friends' panels. Being as you're so smart when it comes to the law and the way things work, I'm going to let you figure out why I won't go on your panels. Because there's a very simple reason for it. It doesn't even include the fact that y'all are just jerks and you can't have a decent conversation. You got to play all those games like yelling or bringing someone else up to gang up on people, kicking people. I'm not going to play those games. So I would say that's the questions that I have for Ernie, especially after this new diagnosis. He had a doctor's appointment today. He said that the doctor said he had something called proximal or something like that, or paroxysmal. He couldn't pronounce it again. Well, when you go start looking up medical terms, and I know this because someone very, very close to me, wink, wink, learned all of this stuff when they went to school for massage therapy. So we learned about what proximal is. And proximal just means it's closer to center mass, the center of the body. Distal is further away. But there are things called like proximal myopathy, and that is like muscle weakness. I didn't look up a lot of stuff about this, but if any of the little tiglets are listening, it gives them a direction to go in when they're wanting to understand what their fearless leader is going through. Right? Because whenever someone we're close to gets like a horrible diagnosis, we want to understand. We want to understand the illness. We want to understand the symptoms. So if they're ever in distress, we know what to look for. We want to understand ways that we can improve their situation or make them more comfortable as they go through their journey. There's also proximal neuropathy, which is high blood glucose levels. So that has to do with the blood, which would kind of go hand in hand. Hemophilia is blood related, but I would think that having both of those is probably not common. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, never claimed to be. But I do have common sense. So when someone tells me something and it doesn't make sense, it is my job to learn about it so that I can make sense of it. The next option would be to ask that person directly, which is kind of what I was doing. If there's things that don't make sense to me, Ernie, I should be able to come to you and ask you and not have you give me some bullshit answer that brings me around the tree, up a hill, and back again. It's a very cut and dry. You're the one going to these appointments. So when you talk to the doctors, you should be asking these same questions. But you just blow it off like, oh, it's no big thing. Now the story is that your doctor is hell bent on telling you that you have hemophilia, but you're not showing any of the symptoms. Well, that would explain away the fact that you got the definition of hemophilia as backwards. You wouldn't have to cover your butt like that if you're just honest from the get-go. You made the comment the other night that your medical issues aren't anyone's business. And yeah, in a perfect world, that's true. But you brought it to us. You didn't bring it just to your little tiger chat and talk about it amongst your friends. You brought it to all of us and said it on a live, all this crap that's going on with you. Therefore, people are going to make it their business. Not necessarily because they're super nosy about what you have, just for the simple fact that we've heard all this before. You say that, you compared me to Connie Sue. I'm kind of insulted by that. I'm nothing like her. Just because I put up a community post that Jimbo is at a basketball game, I'm not out here, I guess, hanging on his nuts, like y'all say. Nor do I expect him to do that for me. But I will be honest about things. If you guys are wrong about something and I know the truth, I'm going to call you out. That's just being a friend. It was just a smart ass post. I'm not Connie Sue. I'm also very open minded and honest when I approach every situation. I don't get fixated on people. I take things as they come and I let them go when it's time to go. I don't live with all this pent up hatred and disgust and disdain for people. That's just not who I am. But you, sir, none of what you say makes a bit of sense to me. So I'm just trying to understand it. I wouldn't want you to be pulling a fast one over on any of these people who genuinely care about you and you're just blowing smoke up their ass. That's not cool. So you say that I'm like hoodwinked by Jimbo. I'm just completely swayed by everything he's ever told me about you. Ernie, we can take all of that stuff from the past, wrap it up in a big red bow, and toss it out the window. None of that has to matter to me. Let's just focus on what I have personally seen and heard play out since the day you came to YouTube. Because I've watched it all. I didn't just stumble upon here, in the last couple of months. I've been here a long time. So let's just focus on that stuff that you've never followed through with. And I still have enough to question everything you say. Because nothing you've ever said has ever played out. The only thing that has remotely played out similar to what you claimed would happen is what happened with rap. And that wasn't even about you. You were just one that, used it to make yourself look like you've really accomplished something. You had nothing to do with that situation. You didn't file the paperwork. You didn't do any of that. So, questions I have for you, I still want to know, Ernie, what 2 surgeries did you have? You don't have to go into detail. Just give us a name of the surgery and what it was supposed to help. Then what medicines are you on? You don't have to give us the names of everything. At least the inhaler. And I don't know what you were talking about. I don't know the slang term for. But if you're saying that sniffer is slang for an inhaler, I've never heard that. And I take an inhaler every day. You also said you're addicted to your inhaler. things like albuterol and stuff like that or corticosteroids, they are non-addictive. The only thing is, if the more often you take it, if you take it more than prescribed, it can affect your lungs being reliant on it. Like, the more you take it, the more your lungs are going to need it. They become dependent on that. The more you take it, you are more prone to things like pneumonia, stuff like that. So, and it might pump you up a little bit, but albuterol has never done to me what it did to you the other night. What's your treatment plan? Because I know part of your treatment plan, if you have all of this stuff wrong with you, is not, hey, hop in a car and start traveling all over the place, especially if you're a hemophiliac, because, just scratching yourself getting into the car could be a bad situation. Plus, you're talking about going out here and busting these predators and doing whatever it takes. Hint, hint. Well, that's just bad news too. So, your weight loss, you said you got down to 121 pounds. You posted a picture of your little feetsies on a scale that said 129, and you gained that 8 pounds over a 2-day period by drinking 3 to 4 boost supplement drinks. Well, no, you didn't. You'd have to drink more than 3 or 4, because just a regular boost supplement drink is 240 calories. The regular Ensure brand is 250, and Ensure Max Protein is only 150 calories. Yeah. So, which I guess you could also, rotate those nutrition drinks with food. But one would think that after you had been hospitalized so long and you weren't on a regular diet when you were in the hospital, you would kind of have to work your way back up to eating like you did before this hospitalization. You really seem displeased with your doctor today. Y'all are button heads, but I could have sworn that you said the hospital that you finally settled on, everyone treated you amazing. The doctors, the nurses, they took really good care of you, treated you like royalty because of your high dollar insurance. Well, that same doctor would be part of your care team after leaving the hospital. So, what happened to that doctor? Why did they replace that doctor who treated you so well to this crappy doctor who is just wanting to tell you you have a bunch of stuff just to get paid from insurance? It's those things that don't make sense, Ernie. And once you open that can of worms, people are going to ask questions. Another question I have is, who are these team members for the 2024 Bloodlines thing? Like, I can get behind an organization who is actually going to get out there and do work, but I want to know about them. I want to know about their training, their history. How many people have they put behind bars for crimes like this? It's a noble cause. I've always said that. But I'm not going to back anything financially if you've got 2 people who have already killed others, right? You've got two, you said you've got 2 killers on the team. So are these killers that just got away with it and nobody knows? Or are these killers that went to prison for manslaughter charges and are out on parole? Because I would think that that would be a parole violation, going out there and roughing people up. And for this new 2024 organization, are you going to have law enforcement involved this time? Are you going to make them aware before you go bust someone? Because just talking to them to make a little video, that kind of defeats the purpose. or the purpose. It's just going to embolden them, and they're going to go home and go right back to doing what they were doing before. They're just going to be a little more careful. So it would be awesome if you guys could have all your evidence, organized and well put together, and then you let law enforcement know, hey, this guy thinks he's meeting up with a 10-year-old little girl at the park. Follow along and bust him. I mean, that's genuinely how it should be done. Otherwise, you're just doing this to put on a show to benefit yourself. It has nothing to do with actually helping children. How can your heart be in it to want to put an end to stuff like this, or at least make a dent in it? At least shut down some local stuff going on. But how can your heart be in it if you just tell this guy, no, no, and then send them on their way? And one thing I've always wondered about, Ern, is the 1,156 arrests. You've told us all these stories about what it was like looking for someone, or what happened when you made contact, and you have all these war stories about all this other stuff. I want to know about one time that you had to testify in one of these cases with those arrests. Tell me about one time that you had to testify in any case involving a child victim. You got this new group, everything's rolling out 2024 as an LLC. Is there an LLC number? Do you have a number for that LLC? Because the only LLCs I could find were the two that have been dissolved already. The one in your mom's name and the one in Alicia's. And did you know about the new act that's going into effect in 2025? You need to make sure you have all your reporting stuff together, because now they're going to get real strict about annual reportings of, monies taken in and stuff like that. And that's to combat some of the fraud that's been going on. So I just wanted to let you know about that, so you can look into it and make sure you have everything buttoned up tight. Let's see. And I know Ernie's in here. How would the predator hunts go now? Are you guys just going to be like watching people online, and is it just going to be your typical pose as a minor? Because I agree, this is a huge problem in this world. I have daughters, which is why if you were to ever do anything because I don't agree with you or I question you, if you were ever to do anything to potentially put my two daughters in danger, I'm not going to be very happy about that, because I'll be very respectful to you. And when you say things like, I don't want to have to dox her, or I don't want to dox her, but, well, that shows that your intent is, if I don't stop questioning things or correcting things, that's what you're going to do. See? So I'm just curious about how these predator hunts are going to go. If there's a legit organization, I can financially get behind that. I make donations to organizations all the time if they're legit. So is the new LLC in your name? And why did you pick bloodlines? Like, I'm curious about where the bloodlines came from. You seem to be on this vampire kick lately. So is that because blood's on your mind because you got this diagnosis? I know that I would probably keep the traveling down to a minimum until you have a diagnosis locked in and a solid treatment plan, because that's just for your health, right? You want to do what's best for your health. You don't want to put your life in jeopardy because, Jesus, something happens to you, then what's going to happen to these people getting these creeps off the street that are hurting children? So that alone should drive you to want to take care of yourself. I know that every day, even on the days that I just feel defeated and exhausted, my children are what keeps me going. So the fact that you say this trafficking and predator hunting is like your passion, that needs to be your motivator to take better care of yourself. Let's see. So proximal, yeah. Anatomy situated near to the center body or point of attachment. So, Ernie, I don't think you have proximal. They might have said you had proximal something. So I would clarify with your doctor what that is. And, definitely if you feel dependent on that inhaler, put it down. Take your meds accordingly. I am curious about the surgeries. Then you talked about how torturous the travel was, but then you were glad you had an appointment today for travel reasons because you got to get out. So are you traveling? Are you not traveling? You do that to make people stop and think, but you can't do that every time, Ernie. You can't lie to someone and then be like, oh, well, I just wanted to make them think. And then wonder why everyone questions the truth of everything that comes out of your mouth. You see, you got to find balance with that. If you're constantly lying to people just to get them to think, do things that are important about thinking about, don't get them to waste their energy thinking about what's going on with you. Use something useful. And then you said you're getting the same treatment as Magic Johnson. Ernie, you have to know that that's going to make people talk, because Magic Johnson, when he first started his treatment, he was on a regimen of 3 to 4 antiretroviral drugs. The 3-drug combo, he said the doctors told him the 3-drug combo would save his life, and it has. So if people know what Magic Johnson is being treated for, so when you make statements like that, it either makes people whisper about you or it makes those who care about you concerned because they feel like you're not telling them something. These people, I laugh at some of the people that are like these hardcore, we're a tiger, because that's just silly to me. But I can tell that some of those people, like, they genuinely put you on a pedestal for whatever reason. So don't let those people down by bullshitting them about what's going on with you. We've heard so many stories about what could be going on with you, from herpes to syphilis to, anything and everything. Tiger pox, who knows? You're the only one that knows the truth of it. Now, I will tell you that when you were first in the hospital and you were talking about shortness of breath and having trouble breathing and high fevers and all of that, the first thing that came to my mind was you were having like a viral issue. RSV has been going around a lot. There's good old pneumonia. If left untreated, you could end up in the hospital. And then when you came out and you're on an inhaler, well, that just made more sense to me than all these fancy illnesses that you have going on. Because when you combine them all together, it doesn't make sense. And when stuff doesn't make sense, that's when people question your honesty. Okay, Nick. Me questioning you or talking crap about Gypsy or taking little digs at Mama T, none of that has to do with how anyone else feels about any of y'all. I'm an independent thinker. I make my own mind up. I've always been the kind of person that people can tell me whatever they want, but I'm kind of leave it in the background until I see it for myself. That's why I say everything that I've ever heard about you from Facebook or wrestling or any of that, we can just throw it off the table because there's been enough that's happened in the past 2 years that has made me question whether or not you're telling the truth. That doesn't make me a bad person. That just makes me an inquisitive person. He's hissing. But you let the cat out of the bag, Ernie, and opened up all of your medical stuff for interpretation. I wouldn't have done that. You got to keep something for yourself. But by all means, tell your close circle of friends. But you can't come on here, like I said, and tell the world and expect nobody to comment on it or talk about it. I understand, wanting to be famous, wanting to be important, and doing something important in the world. But shit, I have more admiration for someone who actually does it. And that's not to say that all your certifications and all that are fake. I've always told you that. But all of those certifications and pieces of paper and stuff like that don't mean anything if you're not doing anything with it. Yes, Ernie and his Teagles get so upset when anyone asks questions, but he is the one on here telling bizarre shit that people with sense are going to question. Exactly. Yeah, on the news a year ago, on billboards. I mean, I think people would like you more if you were just yourself. And that's why in that comment thread, I told you, I said, all I've ever asked of you is to just be honest, be yourself. I don't know why it's so hard, but you can't be out here threatening people and doing all this stuff just because they don't agree with you. That's not right. And someone who had any kind of decency and integrity and just respect for how the system works wouldn't be doing that. It's a bad look. If you're wanting to build up your public image and get all these international sponsors, I mean, you know how ridiculous that sounds, right? Yeah, Elle, it does seem that way. I do think that Ernie thrives off this arguing and bickering and stuff. He likes to see his little tiger babies over there get all mad and like cuss someone like me out. Although I will give him credit, Mama T called me a fool yesterday and he was like, well, now I'm not going to call her any names or anything. Me being smart, Ernie, doesn't have anything to do with whether or not I believe or don't believe Jimbo. I don't know why you guys keep correlating that together, but let's say that I quit being friendly with Jimbo right now, like no longer friends with him, just cut him off. All of a sudden, in your eyes, am I going to be smarter? Am I going to be a more intelligent person? That's just dumb. I'm not going to stop being friends with Jimbo today, by the way. I have no reason to. Why? Because you don't want me to. Even if I wasn't friendly with Jimbo, I would still question all the same things I'm questioning now. Yes, he could. Tog says he could turn himself in and then try to help others. That would make the most sense. Go in and clear your good name and then use that as a coming up story. I would have more admiration for someone who faced the adversity on social media head on. Like, look, that's a good coming up story. Man gets slandered on YouTube, goes to court, proves he's innocent, and then fights his way into doing good for child trafficking victims. Like, I could rally behind that. It is shameful to run and duck warrants. It never ends well. Please stand up as a real man. Go handle that adult business. Set the example. Exactly. Exactly. No, Lily, it didn't change when I stopped being friends with BK. That's the thing. I get tired of people like, I know they say you are who you hang with and all that, but let's be honest, I hang out with everyone on YouTube equally. Like, I don't take y'all to bed with me. We're not in the real world together. So I can be friends with a multitude of people, but it doesn't change who I am. People don't like me because I get along with Jimbo and Nicolina, and that's okay. I don't give a shit. You don't have to like me. Let's see what. Yeah, being in a chat together isn't really hanging out, you know. I mean, I value the friendships that I've made on YouTube. I do. And then there's some that I don't value at all. But the people that I have walked away from that I'm really like, ugh, about, it's a very low number. Just a handful of people. All my shit talking is allegedly. I always come with a disclaimer. Yeah. Do, do, do. He posts like a bad Scientology advert. Next year we will have the best year ever with leaps and bounds. Yeah, as always, wait till you see. I'm tired of waiting. I was going to get one of those damn action figures. Someone was talking about them. I think Jimbo was talking about them last night. I forgot about the action figures. I would have got one. I tried to get a damn tiger pendant. I tried to get one for my birthday. I asked him if I could have one for my birthday. But he wouldn't be ready in time. Well, dang, that was months ago. Are they still not ready? Those are the things, Ernie, that I'm talking about. The pendants, the medallions, the friggin' action figures. All of that stuff never came to fruition. And there was always a reason why. It was the troll's fault. It was the snake's fault. You know, even if you got bit by a snake, you should have picked back up with that project when you're all better. So it's when things like that don't happen, you know, and we love how you love to show a picture of a boo boo or an owie. I would think that you would have shown pictures of that snake bite. So when you break away from things that you would normally do, or you do things that you don't normally do, it raises the alarm. I mean, I think that for the most part, you know, I don't think anyone's really wishing death on you. I can't speak for everyone. You know, I value all human life. I just wish you'd get your shit together and stop preying on people around here and hitting them with this emotionally driven crap all the time. You don't always have to be dying. You don't have to be on some big mission. If there's things you want to do, get out there and actually do it. Because Lord knows there are hundreds of thousands of children out there that need to be rescued. So, yeah, it kind of ticks me off when there's a lot of talk about gonna do it. Wait and see. It's gonna happen. And then it never does. I can't say it enough. Stop letting those kids down. Stop letting their parents down. Stop using this for the land of make believe, because it's very real. And also, if you're going to be out here rescuing these children that are in sexually provocative and torturous situations, you don't need to be out here talking about all this stuff you talk about, all this X-rated crap, and, commenting on women's bodies or looks. That's not a good look for someone in your field, because it shows you objectifying women. And we know what good that did for your buddy Tim Ballard. Yep. Rose, he did say that someone paid like 35 or 3,800 for that hat. Ernie, you know damn well Team Rose paid 600 for that hat, and she said she didn't want it. Never finished the Woohoo Jew. The Lightning Tiger supplements never hit the shelves. Do you think that maybe the Lightning Tiger supplements caused some of your medical issues? The cash prize giveaway a few months back? I don't remember that. I remember that dang inflatable last Christmas, though. Gosh. And he just wants $2. $2 or nutritional supplements. Send them to his sister. If you weren't constantly talking about your location, where you could be, where you aren't, giving hints, no one would care about where you are. But you like to get people stirred up and then turn around and say, see, they're trying to stalk me. No. The $5 special memberships for the Tiger Association. So are y'all still going to be tigers and bloodlines? Yeah, the t-shirts and the inflatable Grinch is the only things that we've ever seen go from beginning to end. And it's because MAGA was behind both of them. MAGA is the one that mailed all those shirts out to people. You have to file taxes on all that money you made last year, Ernie, on all your cash apps. There's just so many little things that you need to wrap up personally before you can have a successful LLC. In my opinion, that's usually best for business. So I think it would be good if you introduce us to your team, just so, people who do want to donate, they know where their money's going. I mean, I don't feel like I'm going to throw my dollar bills at two killers, though. Still at 43 people, the Tiger Association. That's what he was going to give me for my birthday, was a free membership to that. But let's be honest, none of those girls like me. Could you imagine me in the Tiger Association chat? Jeez, no. That would not work out well. So, Ernie, I have tossed the ball in your court if you want to answer any of those questions I asked. Hell, Ernie, I'll even panel up with you over here and ask you personally. I'm just not going to do it on your channel. Mainly because this girl does not go live or hop on panels at night, in case you've ever noticed that. Ernie. Hey, sweet Sativa. I don't go on at night. Once Minnie gets home from school, it's all about cooking dinner and doing everything that needs to be done to get ready for the next day, because I'm a mama first. Let's see. Hey, Fugitive Recovery. Okay, Ras says, consider this. If you donate to Ernie today, you are aiding and abetting a fugitive. Ernie, you are putting all your donors at risk of criminal prosecutions. You know this, Ernie. Why do that to them? And that's true. But these people think that he's got everything taken care of. He tells them, oh, it's no big deal. Nobody wants me. Ernie, yes, they do. The website still says that you absolutely still have an outstanding warrant. And it goes back to, they donated money for you to be bonded out of jail or bailed out. And you crapped all over him then, too. By not going to court, you basically gave all the donors the middle finger and said you didn't care. You didn't have, I would feel terrible if a group of people came together to basically buy my freedom because they believed in me so much. I would not be able to, I don't know, I couldn't do that to a big group of people because that's why they bailed you out, is because they believed in you and what you stood for. And you have not followed through. It's been almost exactly, well, it has been exactly a year since you were bonded out, but we're coming up on exactly a year ago. You were in the hospital with kidney issues. First, it was because you got jumped by a group of people and you implied that Jimbo set that up. But then you said you were in there because your kidneys were failing. Yep, you do have that outstanding warrant in New York too, Ernie. So you're going back to New York for New Year's to watch the ball drop, and you have an outstanding warrant there too. How can you live like that, constantly looking over your shoulder? That's got to be stressful. And stress is not good for your health. So if you have any or all of the health conditions that you've talked about, all this stress is not good. Yep. I wouldn't want to be running like that all the time. Earn cares about earn. And that's sad. I don't know. I have my moments where I'm selfish, but it's not like a full time gig for me. Yep, you got to go get that driver's license renewed, and you're going to be in a pickle. If you had a Kentucky license and you're going to renew it in Kentucky, um, yeah, I read online that that's not a good idea. It's not a good idea. They said expect to be arrested if you try to renew your license in Kentucky if you have any warrants. And the thing is if you try to get a license from another state, like when I moved here, I had to get a clearance letter from the state I lived in before I could get a license here. Yeah, the scars from dialysis, you would have those. Right, Misty Rose? Misty Rose says, I couldn't imagine the feeling being in a hospital and have to run and escape because of the police. And that kind of threw a monkey wrench in his story, right? That was the moment where the story started shifting. It was smooth sailing when he was in the hospital until Nicolina called him, because then it was like he was saying he didn't know when he was going to be out of there. He was going to have these procedures and stuff, and then all of a sudden within an hour he was discharged. But we all know he left against medical advice, and then what, he ended right back up in the hospital. So yes, you do have to have a current license or ID from the state you live in to do anything. Here it's actually, you can get a citation, like if you're to get in trouble, say you're walking down the street and police stop you for whatever reason. If you don't have any form of ID on you, you can get in trouble. If you're in a car and you don't have any ID, you can get in trouble. Oh, when he was bonded out from Madison, he went and got a license made in Tennessee with Tina's address on it. Oh, I'll have to look at if They do that in Tennessee. Oh, so that was only a year? They only give you a license for a year in Tennessee? Yeah, typically to get any kind of state assistance like SNAP or Medicaid or anything like that, you have to have a valid ID. Hmm. He probably got diarrhea on his gown when she called. I'm sure it was shocking to get that phone call from Nick in the hospital. He had just got off alive and told this extravagant story, and, you know, then all of a sudden the phone rings. Yes, food stamp office will say to get a job. Sometimes if you're like him, basically homeless, they'll give you a certain, like here they'll give you a period of time to get a job, but they don't give you much. Like for a single adult, you get like $7 a month. Yeah, I do think he's lying about being terminal. Honestly do. Because of all the things that he's mentioned, none of it makes sense. I mean, the hemophilia can be terminal, yes, because all it takes is one time that you start bleeding and you can't get help fast enough and you bleed out. So, yeah, that could be terminal, but it doesn't make sense with the symptoms he has. In Kentucky, the Office of Inspector General, they're the ones that investigate SNAP. Yeah, Kara says he's been playing hide and seek his entire life. No wonder he's not stable in the brain. And that's true. Constant chaos can drive you crazy, right? Like if you're living in a state of just constantly having to make excuses or lie or explain things away, or it all gets jumbled up. And I would think that it makes it very hard to enjoy the real things in life. Yep, they don't live at that address anymore. So he'll have to use a physical address to get his license. And here, you have to bring proof of address. You have to bring like a utility bill or something like that that has your name and address on it to verify your address on an ID. Why is that? Because if there's ever a car accident where someone's injured, or something like that, they need to get a hold of someone's wife or parents or anything like that. They need a definitive starting point. And that's why when you move, you're supposed to go change your address, even if you stay in the same area, in the same town. So he's got to find someone that will let him have some kind of bill sent to their house so that he can verify his address. And all of those things you would think would be needed, to have things like a legit LLC and all of that. You have to bring proof to get them as well. What you have it and it's expired. It's super easy to renew. Yeah, here, if your license expires, like if you renew it before the expiration date, they mail you a sticker to put on the back of it. If you don't renew it and you actually let it expire, you have to go in physically and get a new one. Billions of state funds disappeared overseas. I'm good, fugitive. I'm good. I hope you are too. I'm about to have to start getting ready for this little Christmas shindig tonight. Um, that should be fun. And then I have a lot to do tomorrow during the day. I'm going to need everybody to go live tomorrow during the day because I'm going to have my AirPods in listening. So I'm going to need you all to entertain me. Please and thank you. Let's see. Yeah, and then another party tomorrow night. I'm getting ready to go out of town. I have to leave my puppers and I have to leave my squirrel Peanut. But I have someone who's going to be taking care of Peanut. I'm just hoping that Peanut doesn't have a spaz like he did last night. Peanut was on my shoulder and tried to jump from my shoulder onto my daughter's dresser where his cage is. And he overshot it and kind of slipped down the back of the dresser and then took off running around the whole room. He finally settled on, she has this like teddy bear thing in the corner of her room with has all her squishmallows and stuff in it, and he found him a little spot behind there, and I was looking everywhere for him, and finally I started like saying Peanut and making all these little noises I make to him. He gets excited about my voice. I'm teaching him to come to the sound of my voice. So he started scratching around trying to climb out of the stuffed animals. And that's the only reason I found him. Oh, gosh. I had to hurry up when he fell and shove something in front of my daughter's door because there's just enough space at the bottom where he could have squeezed through. And I have a lab and Roddy mix, and I have a pit bull who love to chase squirrels outside. So, yeah, but working on a bigger cage with a nesting box, and I'm going to get him some little leashes. They have a set of leashes and harnesses on Amazon, and you can take your squirrel for a walk. So, yeah. But I hope that everyone is enjoying the holiday season. I know it's easy to get overwhelmed with all the shopping and the wrapping and the cooking and the planning, and not everyone gets along with all of their family members, so that can be stressful when you have everyone coming together. But just remember to love each other through it. None of us are perfect. But we're going to I'll try to go live at least one more time before the holidays. Y'all probably won't hear from me the whole time I'm out of town. You might see me in some chats, but probably not that much. So if by chance I don't go live before my trip, I wish all of you a very Merry Christmas. And I will be talking to all of you at the new year. Remember, always hug your loved ones. You never know if tomorrow is going to come. Be safe, be kind. And I wish all of you a very amazing weekend. And I will talk to you soon. Toodles.